Greetings, viewers. Thanks for joining me out in the garage for the follow-up on the after flooding of Mini Driver here. Now, my straps and stuff are almost all dry. Well, the water's all drained out of the lens on that light. This still worked. I used it to air up my tires. Most everything electric still worked. It took the brake lights a little bit. It took the turn signals a little bit to come back. So I've just kind of dumped all my stuff in totes, all my tools, so they wouldn't get rusted too bad. All the stuff I took with me, all laid out to dry. Drying things out, not the worst thing that can happen. I lost my radio that I had, my communications device. It got flooded and ruined. So far, it hasn't dried out and come back on yet. Almost nothing got ruined, but a lot of stuff got wet. I changed the oil. I drained the oil, what I thought was the water off the oil. Turned out I didn't get enough and it milkshaked, and we drained it, and we only had about 2 quarts of oil with us. And so I put that in and drove it. By the time we got it back to where we were going, it was milkshaky. We changed the oil that night. I drove it 3 hours on the highway to get to where we were wheeling. Wheeled it all day into the wee hours of the morning and then drove it back. And it did fine on that oil change. Now, I went ahead and drained that again just because I know there might have been some water in there still, and even though I used a quart of Lucas and all that, I still went ahead and changed it. I put a new filter on, getting ready to add the oil back in. Now, I didn't notice my power steering had got water in it. I checked it, and it didn't look like it did. The truck was literally only in the water like 2 minutes tops. The distributor was completely dry inside. The cooling system got no water in it. The brake and clutch got no water in them. The fuel filler neck was completely underwater, but when I pulled the cap off, you could tell by the seal that it was dry on the other side and there was no water visible through here. So I didn't have to drain fuel. I didn't check axles, transfer case, or transmission. I'm going to do all of those here today. I went ahead and pulled the lower return line here off of the power steering pump to drain the fluid out. I'm going to take this one off and fire up the engine after I get the oil changed again and flush this system. I'll show you that. Now I did adjust the steering on this. If you got a lot of slop in your steering shaft on a vehicle that's old, you see this screw down here that I'm pointing to, kind of-ish. There's supposed to be a lock nut on that. Now I loosened the lock nut and adjusted that screw to tighten my steering up, and it worked fantastic. I don't know if that nut came off as a result of the pump grinding and things, or if the water in it, I don't know if that had anything to do with it. Anyway, that lock nut come off and I lost it. The screw screwed itself in and made the steering super tight. So I have to fix that again. I'll show you how to make that adjustment here too. Enough about that. Let's see. So we'll flush the power steering. Oh, there was nothing in the overflow jug. Everything still worked. The winch worked. My remote control got wet, and I had to take it apart and dry it out because the buttons didn't want to shut off. But once I dried it out, that's been working fine. So very minimal stuff. It was underwater. Ultimately, by the time they got me out, it was underwater across like this, running at a slight angle down. Now, my buddy's 6 foot tall, and he was having to tread water on the one side of the truck. So that's why I said the water was like 7 feet deep. It turned the truck sideways real quick. It was really scary. I really thought I was going to be able to make it. I'm kind of not a big fan of drowning. And yeah, I was a little nervous there at first, but before I even realized I was flooding, the guy behind me already had his winch line out and they were heading into the water to hook the truck up as it was spinning around and I was turning the camera off. Sorry I didn't get some more video of that. Wasn't first on my mind. We're definitely oh shit approved now. No question about it. Now, I will fix my steering. I'm going to oil the motor and we're going to flush that power steering and then check the differentials and stuff and see just if I ruined anything or if it's going to quiet down and run again. The carburetor seems to be fine, running just fine. I can't find an air filter for this truck anywhere. I'm going to have to order one, but asshole K, I can do that. So let me get the oil put in, the drain plug put back in. I've let the oil drain overnight just in case there's no moisture on the back of this. I really don't think there's a moisture issue in the engine, but it making all that extra lifter noise and stuff. I don't know if that was from steam or if something else is screwed in there. I'd like to keep the old 22R going. Yeah, I do. I just like it in here. It suits the truck fine, I think, and it wheels really well. Hopefully you get to see some of those videos. Enough about that. Let me get this oil in. Let's flush that power steering system. All right, getting the fresh oil in. I like the Castrol 2050. I know it's a heavyweight oil for a little engine, but this is a 40-year-old engine. I'm sure it's been gone through at some time because it's in really good shape. It runs really, really well. It did run really, really well anyway. Hopefully it will continue on and that I didn't ruin it. I mean, it's a tough bird. If it doesn't quiet down after another oil change and some more opportunity to dry here, I may have to, well, I will have to do something to it because I can't drive it around like that, making all that noise. It was running spectacular though. But it was definitely making all the noise. And but it had good oil pressure and it didn't overheat. And yes, I always put a quart of Lucas in with every oil change. I do it on my Tundra too. I'm not going to argue whether it's good, bad, or wrong with you, but it's something that I do. Makes me happy on my real high mileage motors. Doesn't seem to hurt them. They like to run just fine. I really hope to be able to save this without having to tear into it. I had this truck and just perfect the way I wanted it, and went out there and flooded it. But you know, it's still just the way I wanted it as long as the engine survives. Because clearly the transmission, everything else is working just fine. There may be water in there. We're going to check them, but I don't think so. So it wasn't in there for very long at all, which made a huge difference. Maybe you'd have done it different and drove it straight back and serviced it instead of wheeling it for the whole rest of the day. But well, we didn't really wheel the rest of the day after we got the truck dried up and out. We had to find that secret way out of where we were so we wouldn't be trapped out there. And that just ended up taking into the wee hours, or not the wee hours, it wasn't that late. But it was a task, it was a chore, it was a job. So if you fast forwarded through all of this part here, we'll be ready to flush that system in a minute. I just got a couple more quarts of oil to put in here. Yes, this is a 4.5 quart engine, and I always put 5 quarts in there, so it doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't hurt anything. I've never had one start leaking because of it or anything like that. The extra half quart barely even puts it over the full line, so I don't think it's a big issue. But something that I do. Now, what else? Oh, hopefully the river water wash of the interior will make it smell a little better than the mouse piss interior fragrance that it currently has going on. I'm going to put that clamp on, grab me a way to flush this line into a pan or a jar or a bottle or something, and be right back with you here. All right, now for flushing out your power steering. Stand up straight. Not you. Oh, I was talking to my, yeah. This is the return line. I took it off of the reservoir. I put a plug over the line, or the port where it goes, so I can dump fluid in here, and it's gonna pump down through the pump, through the box, through the cooler, and back out through this line. Now I'm gonna shove a clear jug. You want a clear jug of some kind in there so you can see when nice clean red fluid starts coming back out. This is an old system. It just takes ATF, the Dexron. I dumped a couple reservoirs of ATF through here when I had that drain pipe off, or that return line off down there on the box, just to get some of the milkshake out. I did turn the wheels back and forth a few times in an effort to get it out. Now dump your fluid in there. Hopefully she'll fire up and stay running right away so I can do this. You just got to keep this full. Let it pump through here. Let me go see if I can get her fire up and stay running for me. You'll see some fluid pumping out right away as soon as it starts. I better hook that battery back up. I was afraid, even though I'd driven it a lot, that while it was sitting here drying, it might let some smoke out of something. With all the being underwater, now I gotta watch for it letting the green stuff out too. So let me see if I can get this fired up here real quick. Watch that clear tub there. Hey, there we go. The ignition's all stuck too. See it pumping the yucky fluid in there? Oh, if it would have only kept going there. Let me go ahead and fill this back up again though, because it goes through it really fast. But that was already looking better than just plain old milkshake. Just a little bit of milkshake. Yeah, you want to be standing here to keep dumping it in as it goes. Like I say, maybe she'll stay running this time. Watch out, bye. Watch out, bye. How's that looking, huh? That's looking pretty good. It's not whining terrible. All right. I hope you're able to see that, how it pumped that out and filled this jug up. Now I'll let a little of it run out in my hand here and see what it's looking like. Well, that's looking pretty good without any foam in it. Let me Check the status of my jug here. You know, that's a little bit foamy still. Let me dump some of this out. I think I'll get a fresh jug for a fresh view here. All right, now that was a little more than half a gallon. I don't think it's going to need a whole bunch more than that. I'm going to at least run one more reservoir through. If the truck will stay running, I'll come here and dump a little bit. We'll watch it pump into there and see how it looks with a fresh jug. There it goes. Oh yeah, that looks real good. I accept that. I definitely accept that. All right, so that wasn't too bad. Yeah, that's all looking good. Little foam because it's got air in it because it's mixing, but watch out, dog. Oswald loves to knock everything over. Oh, forgot to put my clamp back on. I do that. Happens. That's a messy job, but this whole side of the truck's a little messy anyway from previous leaks and other such things it had. I love this thing, man. It just wheeled like a champ. I hope there's some good videos. I tell you, it's been such a hectic time since I got back with other things going on. I have hardly even had a chance to look yet, but I'm sure it'll be some fun stuff. All right, let me tighten that clamp down. After you get your line back on, fill your reservoir back up. It'll suck it down, and you'll need to turn your wheel back and forth. Even though this one's turning really stiff right now because of that adjusting screw, I still think I can get it bled out okay. In fact, not being a rack and pinion, I'm not even sure it's necessary to tilt the wheel, but I will. You know, the motor's not being terribly noisy right now. Aw. Uh-oh. Don't come back up at me now. Let's pump her through. All right, power steering's working fine. Not grinding. That's awesome. Turning your wheel back and forth. In case you can't see that on the camera there. All right. The engine's running really well. The pump is clearly pumping. You can see the circulation going on in there. The motor's not real loud, and I'm really excited for that. Yeah, that is more than satisfying to me. Very much so. All right. I'm gonna button this up under here and we'll move on, check the differentials all for water. All right, so next thing is gonna be pulling the fill plugs out. A lot of mud caked up in here. I really need some diff armor. I did put a little dent in the bottom here. And don't worry, all this is from where I changed the oil filter just a little bit ago. So I'm gonna get this one loose. Hands aren't hammers, except sometimes they are. There you go. Now, slide this under here in case it catches any. If it's not over full, if milkshake doesn't pour out, milkshake's kind of pouring out. Oh yeah, that's disgusting and thick and has a lot of bubbles and is way too full. Let me grab a drain plug or another drain pan and I'll be changing this one right now. All right, you'll often need a pick here. Hey, my bushings all did really well. Oh yeah, to pick all the dirt out around your drain plug. Hopefully you haven't mashed it on the rocks so much that it is getting in the way. I am dripping on myself here. Get this mud out of here. Oh yeah, I'm gonna need a thin wall socket. Because those little things hit so much shit when you're out rock crawling and wheeling, diff armor would be really nice here. I definitely need some. I'm gonna have to beat this socket up on here. Because it smashed the ram around it up. That should get it. This. Ugh. And that's a fucking mess dripping down on me here. Loosen. Some bit skipped off. One more time. I just did all this. Shouldn't be that damn tight. Motherfucker. Oh fuck, I'm tightening it, you idiot. Why didn't you tell me? You were probably screaming it at your screen, weren't you? Idiot. There we go. Ah, what a stupid. All right. Now we'll get this one draining. Yeah, that's pretty gross. All right. Move back to the transmission and transfer case and get those draining here. Real quick like. All right, well, there's just not much room for the camera under here. Basically, the transmission drain plug, or fill plug. The one for the transfer case is up here, is your drain. That's a 17, I think. And the bottom one's a 17 also. This also on the transmission, there's the plug. I'm gonna take it out. If any of these are over full, I'll pull the drains. There's the drain, and there's the drain up in there. And I'll tune you back in, let you know what I found on those. Yeah, the transmission, that's terrible with water. So that's shaky there. The front one got wet. I'm gonna grab another drain pan and now I'll do the transfer case and just let all these continue to drip and drain until that's just out of the fill plug. I haven't even pulled the drain plug on that one yet. All right, the transfer case not only was completely full of water when I took the drain plug out, a freaking bunch of water, just plain old water, fell out the bottom of that. So all of my gearboxes had water in them. Yeah, I drove it a lot. Oh, excuse me. Transfer case by far the worst one, but they did all have fresh gear lube in them prior to this, so even though they had water mixed, they all had fresh lube in them. So let me do this back one now. All right. More good reasons not to drive your truck into really deep water here. And yeah, I absolutely should not have done that, okay? I think I've already established that. Oh shit, no. Oh, well, fuck it now. All right. Pick the dirt out of this one, drain this. I got a feeling gonna need to drain this one too. The other ones all got water in them. I bet you this one did. If it didn't, I'll be surprised. Definitely some armor, some more armor buildup, some sliders, front bumper, diff armor. I'll keep wheeling her. She gonna need it. All right, hands aren't hammers. Remember that. When your hands hurt, you can't figure out why. She gonna be over full? No. It's the only one that's not, but I'm gonna go ahead and drain it and refill it anyway because it's gray and it should be clear. So I'm betting it got something on it it shouldn't have. Let's go ahead and drain it and refill it. And then just have all new gear oil. Oh yeah, see, that's gray and goopy. It's not over full, which means I may not have filled this one full the last time. Yeah, I'll have to pull the footage. All right, so draining all the fluids. Go back through and refill all the fluids here in a minute. All right, now to me that's a little surprising that some things didn't get any water, like the distributor didn't get water, the gas tank, the radiator, the brake system, the engine barely got any. The transmission was, way over full and milky. You can see it. The transfer case was extremely over full, even had actual water come out. Now the front diff was over full and gray, and the rear diff was only very slightly over full and gray, but I'm going to, obviously I'm replacing them all. As you see, drain pans under everything. Now, I'm going to let these drip. Drip and dry is what, I'm going to do right now. As they set open and drip, it'll get all the old oil out. There'll be a little bit with a little moisture in it. I'm not going to flush them. But once I put the new gear lube in, it'll be a 99-to-1 mix of new gear, 95-to-5 mix of new gear oil versus what's old and yucky in there. And as you drive and those get warm, it will evap that off. Now, I change the diff oil in my wheelin' trucks on a regular basis anyway, because everywhere you go wheeling, it seems you always ended up going through some water. I'm going to address the vents on my diffs as well as my transmission and transfer case. Try to update all of that. I was really happy to hear the engine running and not making so much noise. I got to order some air filters. I'm going to let it set and drip overnight. And then change out or refill my fluids tomorrow. So my air filter, I'm going to have to order one. Nobody has the damn thing, so I'm going to order 2 or 3 of them this time. But yeah, I kept running it because it wasn't terrible, but it did get completely soaked. We let it drip dry anyway. You saw all that. those are all the gloves I had in my truck and in my toolbox. Apparently every time I use a pair of gloves, I just shove them under the damn seat. Okay, so enough about that. Everything's draining. Truck's sounding really good. I will update you back. I'm gonna go through all my stuff. I'm gonna put it all back in. I got my toolbox I mentioned back from my son. It's one I had before and then he had, now I have again. I'm gonna mount that in the bed up there where my cooler thing used to be. Yeah, and get all my poop back in a group on this truck. You'll see it plenty more as more work gets done. I'll give more post-flood updates. Sorry, Oswald, my turn again. Thanks for joining us out here in the garage today as we do a little bit more. I think Old Mini Driver's gonna survive this just fine. Again, not what I wanted to do, but you know what? It happened, and that's the way it goes. It's better than being totaled or burnt or rolled or, you know, something like that. And I see on the YouTubes, man, of people driving their vehicles way up in the water, clear up above the dashboards and shit all the time, and it's like it's nothing. Well, I don't think I want to do that, but having flooded my first vehicle in 60 years, I'm thinking in 40 years of this truck's life, that's its first flooding. All right, enough about that. Oswald says it's time to play ball. I sure do appreciate you. Like, subscribe, leave a comment. Those are free, easy, painless things you can do to help support my channel and keep it on the YouTubes. Appreciate you so much. Love you. Have a super great day.